Were they nymphomaniacs or master manipulators? Famous women in history with countless lovers. Women who shaped history through love and power. Throughout history, powerful women have often faced a unique dilemma. Were their lives and legacies defined by romantic entanglements, or was this societal framing a way to diminish their larger accomplishments? Today, we dive into the lives of three fascinating and influential women: Cleopatra, Catherine the Great, and Madame de Pompadour. Each used their intelligence, wit, and yes, relationships to navigate and shape their turbulent times. But were they victims of their passions, or savvy manipulators playing a game of chess where love was just another powerful piece? Cleopatra, the queen of seduction and strategy. Step into ancient Egypt. Imagine a world ruled by a woman so intelligent, so charismatic, that she has captured the imaginations of historians and storytellers for millennia. Cleopatra was the last pharaoh of Egypt, a multilingual scholar who commanded armies and ruled not just through might, but with remarkable cunning. Yet, her name has often been inscribed in history books more as a temptress than a tactician. Why is that? Cleopatra's relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony are well documented, but their portrayal has often overshadowed their true purpose. Let's set the scene for one of history's most theatrical entrances. Cleopatra, learning that Julius Caesar was visiting Egypt and expecting a power play from Roman forces, chose to meet him in a manner none would forget. She had herself rolled into a carpet, smuggled into his private chambers, only to dramatically emerge before him to plead her case. This wasn't flirtation, it was a calculated move. She knew attracting his favor could stabilize her reign and, more importantly, protect Egypt's sovereignty. Then there was her love affair with Mark Antony, which is often romanticized but was far more strategic. Together, they sought to form a formidable alliance against their Roman adversaries. And yet, Cleopatra's story is more often remembered for her beauty or seductions. What's overlooked is her political acumen and dedication to securing Egypt's independence. Cleopatra strategically utilized relationships as a political weapon in a volatile world. Was she a nymphomaniac, as some criticize, or a master of diplomacy? Catherine the Great, the empress of scandal and reform. Fast forward 1500 years to 18th century Russia, where Catherine the Great ascended to power in a male-dominated society, scandalizing the royal court with her long list of lovers, while simultaneously modernizing Russia in revolutionary ways. Catherine was married to Peter III, who was despised by the Russian people and took little interest in his wife, or, honestly, in ruling a nation. In a daring coup, Catherine overthrew her husband to claim the throne. These personal relationships have often stolen the limelight surrounding her legacy. She is infamously known for being surrounded by a cadre of young lovers, whom the courts dubbed favorites. But was Catherine indulging in hedonism or shrewdly maintaining alliances? It's important to note that her reign wasn't defined by her romances. Catherine expanded Russia's territories, modernized law codes, bolstered the arts, and founded schools. She cultivated Enlightenment thought and demonstrated profound administrative reform. At the heart of her reign, Catherine saw herself as a servant of her people, steering Russia into prosperity, not through mere allure, but through intelligence and determination. Like Cleopatra, Catherine the Great's portrayal as a scandalous woman often distracts from the fact that she was a monarch who wielded unmatched power. Female rulers often endured these gender biases, their personal lives exaggerated as a way to diminish their achievements. Madame de Pompadour, the mistress who ruled a kingdom. And now, let's turn to 18th century France and the glittering court of King Louis XV. Madame de Pompadour enters the stage not as an empress or queen, but as the king's official mistress. Yet her role extended far beyond what her title might suggest. Born Jeanne-Antoinette Poisson, Madame de Pompadour rose to prominence through intelligence and sheer force of will. As King Louis XV's trusted confidant, she wielded immense influence over France's politics and culture. Pompadour's charm lay not in frivolity, but intellect. She played a key role in achieving peace treaties, promoting art and Enlightenment philosophy, and cementing her position at the heart of French power. She became not just a mistress, but Louis's advisor, ambassador, and one of the most influential figures in the French court. Her legacy lies not in the king's bedroom, but in her patronage of artists like Voltaire and Diderot, her boldness in diplomacy, and her foresight in advancing French culture. Yet even today, she is often reduced to the role of mistress. What do Cleopatra, Catherine the Great, and Madame de Pompadour teach us beyond their biographies? These women became legendary figures because they refused to fit the molds dictated by their time. The patriarchal societies they lived in often diminished their accomplishments to tales of their sexuality. These reductionist narratives weren't limited to casual gossip. They became codified in historical records, nearly erasing the remarkable contributions these women made in leadership, governance, and cultural advancement. Think about the sources that pieced their stories together. Most were written by men who thrived in a world ruled by sexism, and their narratives almost always revolved around these women as dangerous seductresses. Cleopatra was labeled a deceiver. Catherine was rumored to have an insatiable lust. Madame de Pompadour's intellect and political prowess were dismissed simply because she was a mistress. By framing these women in sexualized terms, power structures sought to minimize their revolutionary impact on politics and society. But let's face it, these labels of nymphomaniac and seductress, they reveal more about the world's fear of powerful women than they do about the women themselves. Women who defined their own stories. We owe it to these historical figures to revisit their legacies with nuance and greater insight. Cleopatra wasn't just a lover of powerful men, she was a guardian of her nation's borders. Catherine the Great, not a scandalous empress, but a ruler who harnessed reforms pivotal to Russia's transformation. Madame de Pompadour, not just a mistress, but a cultural pioneer who helped shape France's artistic legacy. These women's actions and decisions left a permanent mark on history, not because of their romantic exploits, but because of their ability to navigate complicated patriarchal systems as women of their time. It's a reminder to see beyond the surface level of any narrative. Redefining power and legacy. When we rethink Cleopatra, Catherine the Great, and Madame de Pompadour, we see not scandalous figures, but women who adapted and thrived. They broke societal barriers and used every tool at their disposal to push boundaries. And so, I leave you with this thought. What if these women hadn't harnessed love as one instrument of power among many? Would history still remember their names? Maybe it's time we stop asking whether they were driven by desire or strategic manipulation and start celebrating their brilliance in both realms. After all, power, no matter who wields it, deserves acknowledgement. What are your thoughts on these extraordinary women? Comment below. And don't forget to subscribe for more captivating stories from history's hidden chapters. Thank you for watching. Until next time, challenge what you think you know about history. If you were fascinated by this exploration, hit like, share your take on their legacies in the comments, and subscribe for more history demystified in the next episode.